But now this is where things start to get hairy for your character. Because we will go ahead and open the next, we'll close this scene and go ahead and open the next one, which is going to be one of two meaningful successes that you need to complete your mission, to get to your goal.
Okay.
And completing the mission doesn't mean necessarily that you even find out anything about the painting or that you get it. It just means that you can close the story with a satisfactory ending for your character, which might mean that the painting could blow up for all that matters. It just means you get paid and you don't get in trouble.
All right.
So what I would recommend...
So do I re-roll the 3D100s again, or?
Yeah, you will in a moment. But the first thing that you need to do is you have to make a couple choices. First, you need to choose whether the next scene will happen in a civilized place or in a wilderness location. Clearly, you're still in the city. I'm assuming you may be around or in the library for this scene.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say civilized.
Civilized. The second question is, do you want this to be what's called an obstacle scene or an encounter scene? An obstacle scene means that you are using skill checks to try and succeed in accomplishing a particular goal. An encounter scene means that you're going through armed mayhem and it's do or die.
I think obstacle probably makes a little more sense.
Yeah, unless you go in guns blazing or something. I'd be like, it's my painting.
Yeah. That can be the next scene.
Yeah, that would be interesting, but let's not go there. Okay, so for an obstacle scene, what you need to do in advance is to figure 3 different skill checks that you will need to make in this scene in advance. And that could be from your skills, it could be from your attributes, but you just kind of map out, like, what is it you're going to try and accomplish in this scene, and what skill checks are you going to need to try and accomplish that?
Okay. So I think the first thing would be to find the painting itself.
Yeah, I think that probably won't need a roll unless you decide it's hidden somewhere in the basement rather than hanging up in the foyer.
So then if the paint itself is even, maybe look for if there's any kind of security around, look for if there's any kind of alarms or doors or guards or anything, to try to identify how I could get it out, or see if there's obstacles in getting it out.
So you're going to case the joint.
Yeah. Then maybe talk to librarians, try to get their perspective, see if, the whole thing is research, right? So I can see, what's the deal? Why did his grandparents leave it to the library? And who knows, maybe that could be a peaceful thing if, they had some big sob story that would actually satisfy Tommy.
Okay, and that could be one of 2 things. It might be either a savvy roll, if that's your attribute, if you want them just to like you, or it could be gather information, which falls under... Well, it's an interaction skill, and that would tell you more about what the librarians know, or you could conduct actual research, which would be more sitting down in front of a computer to look up, or going to the library, since you're already there, and looking up what they've got about the painting there. I don't know which approach you'd prefer.
I think they would both be good approaches, but I think maybe at least talking to the librarian thing would be the good first step. So you gather information, try to get their story.
Okay, and then if you want to look up the early love, we'll just say her name is Natalie Merchant.
All right.
I don't know if you'd want to involve her in this as a, trying to do either an appeal, which is actually like carousing and being alluring, or if you want to try and deceive her to say, to try and get on her good side, or if there's some way that you're trying to influence her or get a read on her.
Yeah, so And then she's like, it's not library stuff, like a librarian or something here. So I think that maybe, depending on like what I find out, like maybe like try to negotiate with her to sell the painting, or kind of, or return for any kind of donation from Tommy or something like that. To see if there's something like that I could.
Okay, so it almost sounds like you're trying to see if you could shatter up to get onto your side to assist with this.
Yeah.
Okay, those sound like three pretty solid skill challenges. So I'm assuming you're expecting the scene to open in the library during regular hours.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you want to do any. That's good enough for us to get started on the scene. If you want to go ahead, and I'll add 5 to plot stress to get ready to open the scene, which is now at 14. And you can roll 3 scene qualities.
All right. What do we got? We got a 15, a 10, and a 13.
Jeez. That's bizarre. Something happened to your scene, and you're going to have to figure out why you didn't end up in the library yet. But those are streets and alleys.
Okay.
A fortress, palace, or headquarters, so like a fortress of fortitude. And third is a field or meadow, of all things. So if there's some way that you can tie these 3 together, it sounds like it could be either a park that's outside of the library where the action happens before you even get in. It could be that there's that you're at an entirely different place where you've been interrupted or waylaid on your way to the library. But you do have these 3 items that you can run with. You could say that you're in front of the library on a street, and you've got a fortress or headquarters, could be City Hall on the other side, and the field or meadow could be a park in the middle.
Okay. So that sounds good. And I can, we can say we start out the scene, casing the joint from the outside. Like, see, look for emergency exits. Look for like line of sight. Or if the fortress, is like a police station. Mm-hmm. Seems like it should. That kind of fits kind of like the fortress. Something else I have to worry about. Like, if I want to try to steal the painting, that's going to be a problem if there are police right nearby. So I have to.
I love it. That's actually one thing that you can do. There are 3 things that there are 2 things that you need to do to succeed in an obstacle scene. And one of those things is to pass 3 moderately difficult skill checks. And that's what you're going to be on your way to doing. But the other thing that you need to do is what's called asking for trouble, which is saying, I have to ask one of these yes-no questions, and if the answer is yes, it's going to be a setback or problem for me. A clear one to ask is to say, is this headquarters a police headquarters? That's going to put you in a difficult spot.
All right, let's do it. Let's ask that question.
Okay, and it has to be at least a 50-50, so let's just say it's 50-50. If you get 50 or below, well...
Uh-oh, I got a 21.
21. Okay, you are opposite the police station. Congratulations. And you've successfully asked for trouble once, so that's good. But let's go ahead and open the scene. And with that asking for trouble once, your plot stress is now at 15. So go ahead and roll percentile to see if the scene starts as you want.
Okay. I got a 64.
Okay, scene starts as expected. And you can begin with casing the joint, and that is going to be a notice roll. Your notice is usually +1 before you roll.
Okay.
Your notice is one of your skills, correct?
Yes. Yeah, notice. I took notice.
Okay, and it's so it's +2 total. You're going to have to, if you want it to count toward meaningful success, there are two things you need to do. First is you need to give yourself some negative modifiers to get it down to a 50-50 chance of success. That's pretty easy. One way, you could just plain say, this is not a part of town that Laurel is usually in, so he's unfamiliar with the area. And second off, there's just a whole lot of foot traffic and a lot of distractions. And
Police station right there. I got to be careful to make sure I'm not looking suspicious.
Bingo, yep. So that's going to hamper your first skill check. The other piece is that there is a consequence for failure. With a notice, it can be as simple as you've spent time trying to get something useful, you didn't get anything useful, and during that time something bad happens. An obvious one is that you spend time loitering around the place, and because there's a police station next door, you're going to get the attention of a police officer.
Yeah. That sounds good, like a good consequence to me.
Okay, so let's go ahead and make that roll.
All right. I got a 55.
55, almost, but not quite. So as you were casing the joint, trying to figure out, where are the exits, where are the windows, where can I climb, where could I climb to? Laurel's hanging out kind of around the park and going here and there, and a police officer happens to catch his attention and comes on over. Now, this is kind of a good thing because you didn't get your first skill check. You now have an opportunity to make another skill check. You may want to do, negotiate. Intimidate probably is not going to work with an officer. You could try an empathy roll, or you could try to run. But what would you like to do?
I think I better try to bluff him.
Okay, so deceive. Yeah. What kind of story do you think you'd come up with? Just
say, "Oh, I'm looking for the entrance. I've never been to this library before, and I just like to go inside and learn, read a book, and expand my horizons."
Okay, that sounds great. Keep in mind, however, this is not one of your trained skills. So your social is at a base of 0, and because you're not trained in deceit, you have a -1 to that skill check, which makes it unlikely to succeed. Unless you can find a bonus in the...
Actually, no, I've got a better idea.
Yeah.
So I'm a junk guy. Like, I've got a bunch of stuff on me. I'll pull out, like something that looks reasonably frisbee-like, and claim that, because there's a meadow here, so we're in a park. So I'll claim that, I lost my frisbee. I threw my frisbee too far, and I'm going back out to get. I like that story better.
Okay, well, let's. What you're doing now is you're creating window dressing that didn't exist. So you can do that, but you'll have to ask a yes/no question of, do I have something frisbee-like on me? And what would you say, 50-50, because you have a lot of junk?
Yeah, I'd say normally most people wouldn't, but yeah, me being the junk dealer seems like I'm out here stuff, so.
Okay.
I think above, more likely than most people, so yeah, 50-50 seems to be people. So I got a 31.
Yeah. That's great. So you pull out a frisbee. That will give you, because you have that window dressing now, that gives you a +1 bonus, which brings you up to a 50-50 chance. So go ahead and make that skill check. And however, think about what is the consequence going to be if he doesn't buy it.
So if he doesn't buy it, I'd say he would... I'd say he'd kind of push me to move along, so I wouldn't be able to hang out here. I just have to leave.
That's a good consequence, and much better than he pulls out his revolver. Okay, very good.
So I'm going to have to come back later, maybe try to come back after they close or something like that.
Okay.
So, all right. I got a 88.
Oh, okay. So you pull out the frisbee, and he looks at that and says, "That's no frisbee. That's one of those. That's a hard drive that you pulled from someplace. What are you trying to pull, buddy? Get out of here." So you now have, now you're kind of off the rails a fair amount. You're going to have to, figure out how to get back on track, or you could at this point decide to throw in the towel and move to the next scene and try over again with an obstacle scene. You've got one successful asking for trouble, so you're kind of off to a start, but if you wanted to pull the plug and start fresh with a different approach, you could do that now.
All right. I think I'll move along, but I think I've got a new approach. I'm good at climbing, so we're kind of like a parkour kind of. So I'm going to try to see. I'm going to see, is there a building close enough to the library that I can go rooftop to rooftop. Like I can walk away out of the cops' site and then climb up a building and kind of come back along the roofs.
That's a great question. So let's say that's one of those where the answer is just really unknown. So you just say the default is 50-50 and go ahead and make a roll.
I got 31.
31. That means yes, absolutely. There's a place where you could jump from rooftop to rooftop. Now here's where it could get tricky. Well, first off, you may want to see if you can get into the other building and all that, but jumping rooftop to rooftop, you may not want to take those 50-50 penalties that make it a skill check that counts toward meaningful success, because if you fail, the consequences can be rather severe, if you catch my drift.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But, okay. So, yes, you see that there are actually buildings that are close enough. You gauge it, you can do it. Are you going to have any skill checks necessary or potential setbacks to get into that other building?
I think, so I was thinking I could climb. There's a climbing skill.
Yeah, or you could talk your way in if there's a front person at the front desk.
I think I like climbing.
Okay.
So then, like, if I say, would ask for trouble, be like, say, does someone see me climbing?
Correct. That's if you don't choose that as a consequence, you can absolutely do that as asking for trouble. So now the trick is that for climbing, again, if you want this to count toward meaningful success for the scene, you're going to have to take penalties to bring your climbing roll down to 50-50. That's really easy to do just by saying, look, this is a building, it's a fairly sheer surface, it's not meant for climbing, so it's a little complicated. You'll have to, however, think about the consequences. You can come up with something other than just falling and getting hurt.
So
but
I think losing my pack might be a consequence. So if I lose my pack, then I'll lose out on most of my gear, and that'll make things more difficult going forward.
Okay.
So I'll have to advance, on my own with just what I've got on me, just my clothes and the back.
That sounds good. Let's give that climbing roll a shot.
Okay. 14.
Oh, you zip up, no problem at all. However, oh no, that's good.
Oh, does someone see me though?
Yeah, now you've got the does someone see me, and what would be the point of someone seeing you? Do you think that they would go to the police on that? Because the police station's right there. You could ask that.
Yeah, unfortunately, since they're right there, they probably would, yes.
Yeah, well, we can ask that as a follow-up question.
All right, so I should make the does someone see me check?
Yeah, and that will be, again, 50-50.
22.
In fact, yes, someone does see you, and you could now say it's likely that they'll point out to the police, like, hey, that guy doesn't look like he's a window cleaner. So if you want to go ahead and make that follow-up yes-no question of do they tell the police?
68.
With a 68, even though it was likely, the answer is no, they do not. So somebody looks up and says, oh, some guy climbing a building. That's interesting. Well, I guess I'm late for my coffee.
Or maybe they whip out their phone and start taking a video for YouTube.
Excellent. Okay, so somehow you attract some attention, but not police attention, and you make it to the roof. You have a successful skill check, and you've asked for trouble twice. So you're halfway through an obstacle scene. So far, so good. So the next would be potentially a skill check to jump from rooftop to rooftop. Your athletics base is -1. But you do have that parkour skill, which brings it up to a 0.
All right.
So that'll give you, again, a 50-50. This will count toward meaningful success if you make it. If you fail, are you just going to go for the obvious that, you take a tumble, or can you think of an alternative?
So I kept my pack climbing up.
Mm-hmm.
That's still something I could lose. Like, I mean, I could still, maybe I hit the ledge and like I'm hanging from the ledge and I'll have to like ditch everything that I'm carrying to, in order to climb my way up because otherwise I'll be too heavy.
Okay, sounds good. I think the most obvious thing would be a fall, but that's okay. It is your game and you're allowed. It certainly would be a consequence. So why don't you go for it?
All right. 79.
Oh, crap. All right. So you jump right into the wall, manage to hold on by the skin of your teeth. Stuff goes tumbling every which direction. This is an acceptable kind of consequence where you succeed, but at a high cost. You lose your backpack, most of your stuff. You manage to pull yourself up by the skin of your teeth. You don't have to take a grazed condition, but you don't have to take a level of damage, but that was as close can be.
All right.
So you are now on the rooftop of the library. You still need 2 successful skill checks and 1 asking for trouble to get through the obstacle scene successfully.
All right. Should I ask you to say, is there an unsecured entrance?
Yeah, and that's not asking for trouble because, that's...
I'm sorry, I'm asking a question.
Yes, exactly. I'd say that's... I don't know. What do you think? Is it likely, unlikely?
I think unlikely, yeah.
Okay.
53.
Yeah, with it being unlikely, there is not. And lucky you, most of your electronics gear and your any lock picks, anything like that, are in your pack on the ground below.
All right. Is there something? Well, there's got to be some kind of roof access, right? Well, not even necessarily. Is there a secured roof access? Then I'd say that's likely.
Yeah, I'm sure that there will be a roof access. I think that you can just hand wave that. There's got to be some way to get up. But based on your roll, it is locked.
So I guess since I don't have my tools, I'll need to try to break it open.
Yeah, you could make a strong roll just to try and force it open, which could give you a 3rd asking for trouble, which is
Let's go ahead and make a strong roll then.
Yep, go ahead. Again, it's percentile.
Okay. I got a 31.
You did it, and that's a 2nd successful skill check, and I would immediately ask for trouble on top of that because you booted open. Yeah, was that hurt?
All right. That's a 12.
And that's your 3rd asking for trouble, and the answer is absolutely. So I would expect that somebody is coming up the stairs or will be coming up the stairs shortly. I don't know what you would choose to do in response to that.
Let's see. So I have the sneak is one of my skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what I'll try to do is I'll try to hide, and when someone comes up to check out, I'll sneak down the stairs behind them as I'm looking around the roof to find me. So I kind of like back up against the wall around the door. You're ready to duck in as they come up and look around.
Okay, that sounds good. I would say for your own good, skip the hide and just go straight for sneak, because you'll be on the far side of the door. And as they come up, go ahead and make your skill check. Again, you'll have minuses to your regular sneak to bring it down to a 50-50, mainly that it's a roof, there's only one structure, it's kind of hard to, they're already on alert.
Yeah, gotta be quick. Mm-hmm. All right. 92.
This is not your day. So you pop out, and just as you do, whoever this other person is turns around and stares straight at you. Now you can choose whether that is going to be a person or a foe. I'm assuming that it's a person, as in a non-combatant, in which case roll a percentile, and that'll give you an idea of what the person is like.
63.
63. So that's it's, in this case, someone from a prestigious family. In this case, it probably just means it's someone who's sort of regal, a man or woman, and fairly comfortable looking, probably in a suit, or a very nice dress.
Maybe like the head librarian.
Could well be, but it's someone prestigious looking, and you're now face to face with this person. Now what?
Let's see. Is this Natalie Merchant?
Yeah, go for it.
I got an 82.
It certainly is not.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, that's the trouble with this game. It puts you in tough spots where you kind of go, oh, come on. You sort of go like, everything's been working, but don't do this to me.
Well, yeah, a 50% chance of success is pretty rough.
Yeah, it works out, but the trouble is that the consequences compound and compound until you get to a point where it's like, criminy. You could always, worst come to worst, try and use the club to knock them out.
I think at this point, that's my only option.
Yeah.
Sorry, Miss Prestigious Head Librarian, but I'm gonna have to balk you.
It's you or me. Okay, go for it.
A 5.
0-5.
Yep.
Bam! He goes down like a sack of potatoes, and that was your third skill check. So you asked for trouble 3 times. You made 3 successful skill checks, and now you can sneak to your heart's content. Now that knowing that the head librarian is out cold up on the roof of the hut, so you descend down the stairs, and
is this maybe a good scene transition then? Is then the next scene is actually within the library, or?
Exactly right. And there are 3 things that you need to think about before you can close a scene. One is, can you leave the area at will? I would say in this case, oddly enough, yes, you can, because you're in the library.
So I can walk out the front door.
You could get down and walk down to the front door. The second is, do you have any unresolved consequences? You do not, so you're in good shape for that. And then the third is, are you in an active conflict? You aren't, you knocked the guy out and you we're on your way. So you can close down the scene cleanly. The only thing is your plot stress, I've been keeping track of it. You still haven't triggered it. It's up to 23. So you have to roll to close the scene without an unexpected event.
What have we got? We have a, 14.
A 14. That brings your plot stress down to 11, but it triggers an unexpected event, which means as you were kind of going, phew, I made it, roll a d20 and a d10.
All right. The d20 is a 15 and the d10 is a 9.
Uh-oh. So the 15 means that there's a foe. The 9 you didn't need. So roll a d20.
All right. That's a 13.
Okay, 13. Roll a d10.
All right. That is a 7.
This is not your day. Things did not go as expected because that is going to be a bevy of security is coming up the stairs. Apparently, they're backing up from the head librarian. He must have called out for them to say, something's going on upstairs, come on up. So there are 7 guards, security guards and all, that are coming up the stairs as you were kind of going, phew, that was a close one. You are going to have to figure out a way to get out of this, I would say. Trying to fight your way out. We're assuming that this is a gritty setting. Mel, it just isn't going to happen for you. What would you like to do to try and get out of this? Or would you like to surrender and be like, okay, sorry guys, take me to the police station across the way?
Well, I think surrendering became an unattractive option after I attacked someone. So I'm afraid I think I'm going to have to try to escape. And maybe I can come back here after they close or something. But
okay, and your escape is going to be, what you could always ask, is there a way to get past them? Otherwise you're going back up the stairs and
sure. Oh yeah, I'll ask, like, yeah, are they blocking the stairwell?
Mm-hmm. And I would guess it's probably likely, the 7 of them.
It's a 66.
No, in fact, they are not. So I would guess there must be 2 stairwells.
Or something like, maybe they're coming from the first floor, and maybe there's like a second floor that I can get off on or something.
That sounds good. So figure out a way that you can get out of there without getting yourself shot or beaten or whatever. I don't know if you could try running, if you could try just to kind of blend into the crowd, if there is a crowd.
Let's see. So, the question is, have they seen me? Or did they get a good look at me or something?
Yeah, you could, but given that there's reinforcement, yeah, go ahead and roll. 50-50 sounds fair to me.
Okay. It's a 95.
95. No, they haven't yet. So you're still, you haven't been, they're coming up, and you know they're coming, but they haven't actually seen you clearly yet.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to go find a group of, and try to quickly blend into a group of library patrons and grab a book and sit in the lounging area or something like that. And just try to look like I belong with the rest of these.
Okay, and that suggests to me that you're going to ask, is the library, does it have a lot of people in it?
Okay. Is the library busy? 75.
It's not very busy. So that's not great, but you can still try and look inconspicuous. That I would say is a deceive.
All right. It's a 46.
Yeah, your deceive is not that great.
Okay.
So I would say the consequence to that would be that the officers do, close in, that it's like, I think he went this way, and they're coming your way, and you'll need to respond to that somehow.
Um, let's see.
You could try
So,
another sneak.
yeah, so I'll try to like go hide in, like, hide in a supply closet or something like that, or try that,
Mhm.
obviously I can't blend in. I would have to blend in, but maybe I can just like physically remove myself.
Okay, I'd say that's worth a sneak to try and figure out how to get into a place they're not going to search.
All right. It's a 50 even.
And your sneak is,
I do have the sneak skill.
yep, so it's going to be a +1 over your base. Which is +1. Oh, your sneak is terrific. Yeah, you manage to hide for however long it takes. So you've managed to, now you will manage successfully to close the scene. Thank goodness. That was close. I did not anticipate that. I kind of figured, oh, you're all set, and yeah.